This message, if we can get through this, is a supportive message of the current energy that we're in, especially as a collective and what's happening astrologically, and that's affecting us as a collective over the last couple of weeks. And we're still working with this opposing and challenging energy. And so what this message is a supportive message of understanding the current energy that we are in, so that you can feel in resonance of clarity of what's happening within yourself, and also ways of actually how to move forward through this energy so that we do not feel as much of the weight and the density of this very opposing, very turbulent kind of energy, and can feel a bit heavy at times. What I noticed around that new moon in Capricorn was very much a very weighted energy, like it felt very heavy. I noticed that collectively a lot of people felt very low in energy, they felt very flat. And I felt that weight, that density of that moment in time. But what was definitely coming to the surface in support was it was bringing up lots of old patterns, lots of old versions of myself. And that's, I feel, why we felt quite a weight, because it felt like such old energy that was coming to the surface, which is so perfectly aligned with the astrology in the sense of it was a time of bringing everything to the surface, because we need to see in order to clear and move through and choose to operate from a different place, to operate from the new versions of us and to fully step into that. But we have to see all the last little bits of the old in order to step into that new. And so if you have felt that heaviness, know that you are not alone. Like so many people, this is this collective energy, because we're all affected by the planetary alignments in this moment in time. And what was also happening, it was definitely very much a contraction energy. And the contraction energy is because we're just about to step into a big expansion when we're walking into the fire horse year, which is so expansive. And so there has very much been like this push-pull between our energies of like wanting to release and let go and feeling uncertain and feeling the heaviness of the old. And so we're kind of in this push-pull energy, which can feel a little bit turbulent. And what happened to me about 4 or 5 days ago was something really interesting, where it was an encounter with wildlife, and it felt like a perfect representation of the current energy. And it was actually a really interesting demonstration of even our relationship in life. And so I live in Australia, so we have many wildlife, and I live in the bush. So I had a wonderful visitor of a snake late at night. And I noticed, and it was actually a synchronicity that actually led me to see the snake entering my spare bedroom. And it was only because I was getting rid of another little insect out of my room that I actually only just saw the very end of the snake going underneath the door of my spare bedroom. And I was like, I cannot sleep knowing that there's a snake in the house. So we began a bit of a battle. And for me, it was like this very sort of interesting observation of witnessing as on reflection of this dynamic as it was playing out, where the wildlife, like the snake, ended up in a place it didn't actually want to be. It came into a place that made it stuck. It was stagnant. It could not move. It couldn't really escape in the sense of what it wanted to do. And I wanted it to also be able to escape and go back home, because it wasn't where it's meant to end up. It just detoured off the path and found itself a little bit lost. And so I had to get my poking stick out, and I had to help guide the snake back out to its home, to freedom. And yet it fought me. It was not a willing participant, even though I was trying to guide it home to safety, to freedom of what it's wanting to, but there was like a back and forth exchange happening. It was like kind of burying in, it was reacting from a fight and flight response. And so it was acting from fear, but what came out was anger because it was trying to attack the broom. And so, but I was trying to lead it. And what I first did to usher it out the door is I created a very soft structure to try and steer it from it not going deeper into the house. And that didn't work, and I didn't create a firm enough structure to ensure that it only went the one way. And so then it got deeper in, it was all a kerfuffle, and I had to bring it back to where it began because that's where the door is to leave. And then it kind of burrowed in deeper, which is very much like it's like that snake is a representation of old belief systems, old versions of us. Like then it's like got back to where it was, but then it burrowed in deeper and it just like kind of was hiding. And I'm like determined to get this out. And so then I had to create firm structures to show it the path and to help that snake leave, because it's so perfect that we're stepping out of the snake energy, and it was so stubborn of not wanting to leave, which is the current energy. And yet I knew what it truly wanted was to actually leave, but it didn't realize that that's where I was nudging it towards. And so it's like that old versions, that old energy that was fighting me, and yet it knew that it wasn't home here, it wasn't safe here. And so once I actually set up that firm structure, this firm pathway, and forced it, I'm like, you're getting out, and forced it to go. Once it began its path of there's no other way, this is the one way to freedom, it was all like everything settled. It was able to just, in its own time, just leave out the door. I didn't have to nudge it because it could see the exit. But before that, it couldn't, and it reacted out of fear, which is very much, sometimes these old patterns, these old belief systems can be very stubborn and feisty and hide in little places. And that's why we need divine guidance, which was me, to nudge it, to bring it out of where it was hiding so it can be seen and so it can be led to the path of freedom. And I also feel that this was like a perfect representation of our relationship, in the sense of, you know, even me as being the snake, and who I was our spirit guides, divine guidance that's trying to lead you on the path of freedom where I know you want to be and you want to be, and yet you fight me every bit of the way. Which I have complete empathy for my spirit guides in that, after that absolute saga. And I think it's just like a perfect representation, and it was just so hilarious to me that it was a snake, which is the energy that we're moving out of, and we're moving into the fire horse energy. But in this moment in time, there's a lot of, I feel like, very rapid energy and very up and down and turbulence, but it's all here for a purpose, to bring something to the surface. And right now we are in a time of setting new foundations, creating new structures, and creating new structures within ourselves, within our personal life, within our relationships, within our business, whatever your season of life is in. And in order to create these first firm structures is actually to be in service of us in our path, in illuminating all the things that we can do that support us in propelling, and that momentum that actually supports our life journey. Something that has been illuminated to me, even just today and this week, is I have set an intention over the last 2 weeks to open up my energy to receive more. I'm inviting more in. I'm inviting more gifts. I'm inviting more opportunity for the universe to show me the magic that it can present to me every day. I'm inviting more to come into my work so I can support more people, so I can help more heal. And so I'm setting an intention in this month that I'm open and ready to hold more energy, to hold more that I can do, and to hold more gifts and receiving. And in this intention, what I realized today is it made me every day focus more my energy of noticing not only the big gifts that I've received, but also the small things, like very minute, not only beautiful big things where women are signing on to really choose themselves, to really heal themselves, to see their heart, which is magic, but even the little silly things of like just the synchronicities of something lining up. Say, for instance, something that happened is like my phone wasn't working and they wanted me to pay for something, and I just called to be like, it hasn't been working for this whole time and you're wanting me to pay. And they did something, and they actually gave me a much bigger discount than I ever expected. It seems so small, and yet they did something and something came to me and I was given something beyond actually what I expected. I didn't actually expect the gift that they gave me. And so I've made an intention that each day to notice even the little things of where the universe is gifting me something and I'm receiving beautiful abundance in whichever way it comes. And by having this intention in this month, it's amplifying that energy, and it's actually calling in more into my world, because I'm setting the intention of focusing my energy of not only being open to receive, but holding gratitude for all the little things. And that's where I realize, wow, I've amplified this energy because that's where my focus energy is pulling towards. And so then I'm actually opening myself up to receive more in this moment in time. And what I realize as an important structure moving forward from this understanding is that in the new season of each month, as I flow into a different aspect of what I'm wanting to focus my energy on, it's really important to set that intention of what am I going to focus my energy on each day in order to amplify that, to support my growth, to support calling in more, to support just the amplification of my power. And it's not that I need to continue each day with the same, or each month with the same intention of calling in more. Actually, maybe it will be 1 month it will be calling in more balance, calling in more time that I'm just pouring into me. It will be dependent on that exact season, but I feel like setting that check-in time with myself is able to utilize my energy and my power and continue the momentum of supporting me in my life. And then another aspect that I created, because we're all collectively experiencing similar things, so I feel like why I'm being told to share my personal experiences is because I'm sure it's going to help someone. But one other aspect is in my work, and because I own a business, and that's really important that I have to invest a lot of energy into. And so what I've noticed and what I've done with this time of this foundational energy of also setting a check-in once a week, every week in preparation, and just looking at my week as it from a zoomed out point, just making sure everything's written down, and allows me to see gaps and where else I can pour my energy into to allow more to be seen so I can support more. And so having these different types of check-ins, I feel is actually an invaluable lesson that I've learned in this moment in time that we're calling to create foundational structures, because this idea of these check-ins, not only is it not stringent in the way that it's not structured that I have to absolutely do this thing, but it just allows me to check in with the energy of this week, the energy of this month, and is there anything that I'm missing? Is there anything that there's a gap in? Is there anything that I need to actually pour and focus my energy into because of the season of life that I'm in that moment in time? And that's, for me, is so powerful, because actually me doing that is I actually saw things that I didn't when I just had it all in my head. And when I really sat down and did the check-in, it allowed me to see things that I was actually missing, which is going to actually help my momentum, which is helping me in amplifying and stepping into calling in more, which is exactly my monthly intention. And so that's where recognizing what is the contraction, what is the resistance in this moment in time, this energy bringing forward to us, in the sense of where in that contraction, where in that heaviness is a lesson that I need to learn in order to create more freedom, so I can release and step into surrender and step into the expansion energy that we're meant to move into. So this is such a beautiful intellectual time of really exploring, because we're in Aquarius season, of really exploring within ourselves how we can create a life of calling in the life that we so deeply desire, the life where heaven on earth is here. And in order to do that is sitting in the balance of the feminine and the masculine, of as much as I've created a little structure, there is flow in that. There is flexibility in that, which is honoring my feminine, my actual essence of my energy, which is ever moving. But there is also not a negation of ignoring things that actually could be of service to me, because that just feels a little bit too restrictive or too structured, or just couldn't be bothered. So embrace the discomfort in this moment in time and ask yourself, what is the lessons that it's actually wanting to bring to you? Because often the heaviness and the contraction is actually showing you where you're not free. It's showing you something that you're still operating from, and it's just bringing it to the surface so it can be seen, alchemized, received with love, and moved through. And that's when you create all this pathway that allows you to actually step into the version where you are just a boss bitch and you just take on the world with your expansive ideas, where you're going to shift and change the collective consciousness. So my love, I hope this helped you. I felt like this was very much a message of just what I'm experiencing, what I'm learning, because I feel like a lot of us are going through this in this moment in time, and to share how I have shifted out of the heaviness and where I feel lighter and where I feel the lessons, I feel is so going to be so supportive to someone. So share with me what you're feeling. Like, share below in the comments. I would love to hear what you're feeling. How did this resonate with you? Did this help with any clarity? I would love to hear from you, my love, and I send you so much in this beautiful time.